The wait is finally over, and Spider-Man No Way Home is here. The internet was abuzz with rumors for a long time, and the marketing campaign for this movie was always a little bit awkward since we're all pretty much aware that Marvel adjusts their trailers to avoid spoiling things or purposely putting things out of order so people can figure out just based on the teasers. The movie did so well, it pulled one of the biggest opening weekends in quite a while, and that's considering we're still, as of this video anyway, in the midst of a you-know-what. Even Marvel and Disney know that this movie will let them build mint and print money if they put it in theaters before Disney+. If you're the sort of person who watches Marvel movies, you probably don't need to be told who's in this movie. For those who aren't in the know, Tom Holland reprises his role as Peter Parker, Zendaya as MJ, and Jacob Batalon as Peter's good friend Ned. I hope I didn't kill that name there. If you've watched any of the teasers, you're probably well aware that Benedict Cumberbatch is also reprising his role as Doctor Strange. Though frankly, if you pay any attention to Marvel movies coming out, that's probably no shock either way. They haven't exactly been quiet about the first Doctor Strange sequel, Multiverse of Madness, and everything that's been leading up to it. As for the synopsis, Spider-Man, fresh off of the previous movie, Far From Home, has just had his secret identity revealed by Mysterio. Most of the world believes Mysterio to be a savior, whereas Spider-Man is now considered a murderer. In an attempt to solve his new problems, Peter Parker asks Doctor Strange to essentially brainwash the world into forgetting Spider-Man's secret identity. Things don't quite go to plan, of course, which summons several familiar Spider-Man villains from across the multiverse. So now the million-dollar question, is this movie worth watching? If you're the sort of person who loves Marvel movies, yeah, but you've probably seen this movie already if you are. Unfortunately, if you haven't at least seen the first two Spider-Man movies here, Homecoming and Far From Home, you're going to be pretty lost here. It's the culmination of not just the first two Spider-Man movies either, but a lot of Marvel movies prior to this one, and if you couldn't guess by the trailers, the previous Spider-Man series. Yeah, the ones that starred Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. This movie is basically a pretty big love letter to Marvel and Spider-Man fans, so it's tough to really recommend it to anyone who doesn't fit that particular criteria. With that in mind, if you've seen the movie, by all means, stick around until after the spoilers.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
It's tough to really point out any major flaws with No Way Home. It's a good movie with a fun story and a lot of good fight scenes, especially if you turn your brain off. If you've come this far even after the spoiler warning and haven't seen the movie, this one's on you, man. I'll give you a few seconds to click away. So, yeah, as all the rumors and screenshots back in the months leading up to this movie turns out, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are both in this movie. They actually do pretty well reprising their roles, though Andrew Garfield more than Tobey Maguire. Garfield feels like he basically never stopped playing his Spider-Man, whereas Tobey, whether it be age, having forgotten his role after so many years, or just really not feeling it but eager for the paycheck, it felt more awkward than anything else. Still, I was able to look away from that because Garfield and Holland both steal the show here, so they helped make it a little less obvious. Actually, I'd say that if there was a good pair of words to describe this movie, I'd go with hilariously awkward, which is good because if it was the weird kind of awkward, the movie wouldn't have done quite as well. They can acknowledge old Spider-Man memes and throw in Tobey and Andrew all they want, but that alone wouldn't have held the movie up or helped guard it from scrutiny. But yeah, Marvel pulled out all the stops on this one, and after the strong showing from Far From Home and Homecoming, I had my doubts that they could actually beat those, but they did a good job of it. The consensus seems to align with my own, considering, again, how well it did at the box office over opening weekend. Though if I had to pick one nitpick that shined brighter than all the others, it's that for a 2.5-hour movie, the pacing wasn't spectacular. There's also a little of that weird, awkward thing watching three grown men stand around with tears in their eyes for like half the fucking movie, but you gotta throw something in there to get the waterworks going. I get it. Having said that, my biggest personal gripe with this movie is that it was about as close to the Sinister Six we're going to get in a Spider-Man movie, which is a real shame because it's unlikely we're ever going to get enough villains out of the MCU Spider-Man movies, which, by the way, we're getting more of in the future apparently, to actually pull off a Sinister Six. Never say never, I guess, but I'm not going to be holding my breath here. Similarly, considering that there are so many heroes in New York, why do we not see more? Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox in the Netflix Daredevil series, does make a quick cameo appearance, but considering there's so much turmoil, where's Falcon, or any of the Avengers for that matter? They had plenty of time to get to the Statue of Liberty in time for the big fight. Seems like a missed opportunity to get more faces in there somewhere, but maybe they're worried about using up contractual movie appearances or something. Though I guess if we consider Occam's razor, it probably just boiled down to them wanting mostly just Spider-Man in this Spider-Man movie, but then that doesn't really explain why we got so much Doctor Strange, so it's probably not that simple. And my final nitpick is that this felt more like a Doctor Strange movie disguised as a Spider-Man movie. There's so much setup here from Multiverse of Madness, all the way down to what was basically a movie trailer after the credits. I was sort of baffled by it. I wasn't expecting so much of it, even going into it from having seen the trailers, but the spectacle of it was nice, I suppose. Thanks for hanging out today. What did you think about No Way Home? Odds are you probably enjoyed it, but let me know in the comments below. Also, leave a like or subscribe, that'd really help me out. We've also got a Twitter, link in the description below. See you soon.